back.
We are so back. Feels good.
So back. Yeah, dude. All right. So I'll just catch up from the I don't know, last 12 days.
Your video is a little delayed. I don't know if
Yeah, I think it's my Wi-Fi. I don't know if is it gonna like bother you?
No,
I
it doesn't
think.
bother me. I'm just hoping that it's not going to like create issues later.
I think it should be fine because it looks like all the like audio is coming at the right time and stuff like that, so it should be fine. But just if
Yeah,
it's like,
should
yeah,
be
I don't
good.
know if it's distracting or whatever.
No, yeah, I don't care. It's all
All
about the
right, cool.
content.
Yes. All right, cool. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Decent Crypto Podcast. Today is December 11th, and we are officially in a bull market. Matt, how you doing?
We are so back, so back. Tron is
There's dog
literally
coins
back.
on Cosmos that are pumping. Yes, and I'm actually back. I'm physically back.
Where were you? Let's tell the listeners.
Okay, yeah, I've been at a meditation. I wouldn't call it a retreat. I would call it a boot camp. I was just telling Matt before the episode what my schedule is like. It's basically just 12 hours of meditation every day in complete silence. There's like 100 other meditators there, but you don't speak to anybody or have any kind of contact with anybody at all. You're just meditating, 12 hours a day, and you get a breakfast and a lunch, no dinner, and straight through you just meditate. It's basically just really getting into your own space, getting into kind of everything that's going on in your own body, in your own world, your own mind, kind of learning to be there with it, deal with it, and kind of process a lot of things in your life. So yeah, it was really cool. It was a very powerful experience, very intense. It's called Vipassana meditation if anybody's interested. um
How many
it's like
days? How many days were you there for?
oh, 10 days. 10 days straight. Actually 12 days. 10 days of pure meditation in the middle, and then one day in the beginning, one day at the end. But yeah, it's cool. And yeah, it's at a really nice center up in the mountains, like right outside of Yosemite. Yeah, a lot of interesting kind of insights, I would say.
So okay, so you put your phone away and you don't talk to another human for 10, 12 days. You're
Yeah.
meditating 12 hours a day, and you come out and you turn on your phone. What was that like?
It was insane. So you have the opportunity to get your phone like on day 11. And I was like, I just cannot do that. I need to power through this last day of meditation, and then tomorrow I'll grab my phone and deal with the world. Because actually, it was also my birthday in the middle of this meditation, so I was like, I don't know, I want to deal with all those texts and things like that. So there's a lot going on there too. So I was like, all right, just leave that to the side. And then as I was leaving, like I was in the car. I was in a carpool, somebody else was driving, so I was like, all right, now I can deal with all this stuff. Um, I would say there's a few birthday texts, things like that, and just like personal stuff getting through. I checked my email, and then I went through all the crypto stuff, and very interesting. I mean, I obviously have the widget on my phone for basic stuff. So I saw Bitcoin at that time. Like Bitcoin's like 40K now, but it was like 43 on Sunday morning. So I was like, wow, that's cool. I was kind of expecting a pump. I won't lie. The whole time I was thinking about crypto prices, the whole 10 days.
The
It was
whole
on my
10
mind.
days?
Well, like, I mean, not the whole 10 days, but like you think about it, you're like, what's this portfolio going to be at? What's this going to be at? What's this going to be at? I was doing a lot of like very active stuff, like I've been like going ham on like really like focusing on like rotation, like kind of stuff, and like going like pretty like aggressive. So, it's obviously going to be on your mind. Like, what am I going to come out to? So yeah, I mean, the biggest, obviously, I think the biggest thing by far was Jito. That's what most
Hmm.
people were talking about. That was like the number one takeaway because I had told people what I was doing, um, like specifically, like very kind of specific, like instructions to people that also wanted to do this. I was like, you need to do this, and then this, and then this. And like I've been going ham farming these airdrops for a while, and so that was the most prominent thing. People were like, "How much did you make?" And it was way less than people were expecting, honestly. But yeah, I would say that's the number one takeaway. And then just in general, like everything pumping. And so I was catching up on that. But yeah, I don't know. It was a very interesting experience to come out to.
Yeah. All right. So let's quick recap. Okay. So Bitcoin, when you started meditating, was at a nice 38K, and it
Yeah.
pumped to like 44 something,
Yeah.
over the last week. It was pretty flat, and
Hmm.
then down today, a bit of a leverage washout. And so we hope. And then um, let's see what else kind of happened. So the biggest thing was probably the Solana ecosystem has just been on fire, right?
Yeah.
So
So yeah, like let me like frame what I remember going into the retreat,
yeah.
the boot camp. So Seoul was had like a pretty similar washout at that time. Like it had gone to like 66, 67, went down to like 58 or whatever, and then was like maybe like 60 when I went. Like Bitcoin 38K, ETH, the 2K stable coin. Um, what else? Like the biggest thing actually is probably AVAX. Went from like I don't remember what it was at, like 16 or so. And now
Yeah,
it's at
that's
like
right.
36. That
Yeah,
is
I
probably
mean,
the most notable thing.
AVAX was a similarly stable coin. It was at when you started meditating, it was about $20 even, and now it's at
Okay.
36. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's pretty significant.
I mean,
But
there
yeah,
is
I would
one
say
more.
like, oh yeah, there
Celestia.
is one more. Yeah, it's at $10. Yeah. Well, there's one more after that that I
There
was
is one
thinking
more
of,
after
but
that, but oh yeah, we'll get
yeah,
there.
Celestia at
Celestia
10.
was at like 6 ish when you went
Hmm.
in, 5 6,
Yeah.
up from 240, and we were all like, "Wow, what a meme coin!"
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yeah, now it's at like 10. It hit like a high of like 11.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, speaking of meme coins, Bonk. Bonk
Yeah.
was at like so this was funny because I was looking at Bonk and like Bonk has been, something I've been like pretty aggressively in for a while. And so like I was looking at that and I was like, all right, I have no idea honestly because it was like it had gone pretty parabolic, and then it was kind of like dripping, dripping, dripping a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower on like not that much volume. And so I was like, I don't know, it might just like bleed down for a while. It depends what the market does, all this kind of stuff. And I just remember it being at like however many decimals and like four,
Yeah,
five something. Like
it was about 420 when you went in.
okay, yeah, like 420, yeah. And then when I came out, it was at like whatever decimals and like 11 or 12. And I was like, damn, it like really, it like really like took a big hit. Like I'm sure I got liquidated on a couple things, like I'm sure, yada yada yada. And then I was looking at it and I was like, had to like, like change the scale of the chart. And I was like, oh, whoa, whoa. Like if you look at the daily, it's actually just like completely parabolic. It deleted a zero. Um, so yeah, that I think is impressive. I mean, it's at like a billion now market cap, which I think is probably topish, but I've been wrong before. Um,
I mean, did you see
yeah,
that?
I
You
don't know what
probably missed the
else.
tweet about the potential Coinbase listing. Did
Bonk.
you? That was a few days ago. So there was, yeah,
Oh,
somebody posted that generally when you send like any given SPL token to a Coinbase like receive address, if the token's not listed, it just sits there. So the recap is like when you deposit tokens to Coinbase, they generate like a wallet for you to send your tokens to, right? It's like a feeder wallet. And then that feeder wallet sends it into the hot wallet, right? Usually, when you send a token that's not listed, it just remains there in the feeder wallet. But if you send one that's listed, obviously it goes into the hot wallet. And Bonk now goes into a hot wallet as of a few days ago.
Mm,
And so
interesting.
the rumor is that that they may be experimenting with like trying to support Bonk, and they might be in like the testing phases.
Hmm. All right.
Uh,
Interesting.
Yeah, it didn't quite play out like Pepe. So my closest comparison, okay, I've like not financial advice. I'm also bonks deep in bonk. I am
Yeah, yeah,
so
you were
deep in bonk,
deep,
right?
deep
I've
in
been
bunk.
deep in
Yeah.
bonk since before you went to meditate. I've been
Yeah.
in since like 283, and when you went in, it was at 420. I was like, nice trade. um,
Yeah.
Now it's at like 12 or 11, 12 something. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and and my whole thesis on it was that it was going to look exactly like Pepe, right? So down to the like when I got into Pepe, it was because Pepe had been trading at around 100 million market cap for a while, and then it went to 150, and then it went down below 100 to like 80, and then it came back to 100, and I was like, okay, if it's not dead now, it's probably not going to zero, and that's when I got in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then from there, the stages were pretty straightforward. It was like one big day, it gets on everyone's radar. Another big day, everybody apes in. More and more centralized exchanges start to support perps, and then that gives access to leverage for degens, right? Maybe you see like a long leverage flush out, then you see it go up even higher, right? And then all the way up to basically about a billion market cap, and then you got the Binance
Mm,
listing, and that was like the Pico top, right?
mm,
Slightly different for Bonk at around 4,500. Binance listed Bonk perps, thousand
mm,
Bonk, right? Because
mm,
in the perp space, for a lot of centralized exchanges, if there's too many zeros after the decimal point, they'll just put perpetuals contracts on 1,000 of the tokens,
mm,
and just price it that way. So Binance listed Bonk perps, and everybody was texting me like, "Hey, like, is this an invalidation of the this is going to look exactly like Pepe thesis?" I was like, maybe, but I held, and it hasn't been listed spot at Binance yet, just the perps.
okay.
And I think Bybit is still the most active centralized exchange for spot Bonk. Um, but Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to see just how much people are rallying behind this token, right? Like I feel like it
Yeah.
represents to a lot of people the Solana comeback, the Solana ecosystem comeback more broadly. Um, so because they airdropped it to a bunch of devs and a bunch of people that got rugged like after FTX, and a lot of people sold that airdrop and it allowed them to like keep building for a couple months or whatever. And then yeah, it just entered price discovery once it went past the price that it airdropped at, and it's just been like parabolic. What a
Mm,
trade!
yeah. Bonk.
Um,
So you think like it's at a billion now? How like it does a ton of volume, probably more than Doge and Shib and Pepe, right? At this point, like at least the last week.
uh, Yeah, I mean, for a while it was like the highest volume token after Bitcoin and ETH, right? Like
Yeah,
across the space. I don't know if it's still
that's
there
pretty
today.
nuts.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it was all eyeballs were on Bonk, right? Um, Today
Wow.
it's
I have.
done less. It's done 150 mil versus Solana at like 3.7 bill. It's pretty low volume today. But it's at about 700 million in market cap, and fully diluted that's about a billion, right? But I think this is like one aside. Like I feel like in the bull market, we really have to reprogram ourselves to unlearn a lot of things that we learned over the last 2 years. And
Yeah.
like one of them is
What
FDV.
lessons? Okay.
FDV
Okay.
is a meme
FTV
again.
in the bull market. FTV is absolutely a meme.
Yeah, it's just about liquid market cap because that's the thing that can
Yeah.
pump. And actually, having like a smaller one of those to FTV is a great thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it increases volatility. And if
So
you think
this
it's
is
going up,
my
it
this
goes up
is
more.
yeah. So this is my hot take on Jito is I think Jito is going to 10. Because of this exact thing. There's very little supply and there's not that many unlocks for a while. and whoever's going to sell the airdrop already sold.
Yeah.
They also did this smart thing where they have the claim window open for like 18 months. So if you don't want to, if you just want to let it ride, you don't want to pay any taxes on it, you defer. You don't even claim this year. You don't even need to claim next year. You can claim in 25, pay taxes in 26, which is wild. So
Wow.
they're doing smart stuff there. So it's a lot of like pumponomics there, which I like.
That is smart. I
So
didn't think about that, but yeah, it makes the liquid circulating supply smaller.
yeah, it's tiny, and like they got all the sellers out like immediately, right? Like with the airdrop. So
Yeah. And I mean, that's
yeah,
another thing that you have to reprogram yourself on, right? Is that like everybody thinks that every airdrop goes to zero like immediately because that's what we learned in the bear market. Give people free money and they're just going to sell it, right? I think Optimism was probably the first one, or maybe Arbitrum. No, Optimism was first. Remember this? Like it was like spring 22. Optimism went live at like I forget, it was like $4 a token or something, and then immediately went to like one, and
okay,
it still hasn't
wait,
recovered. It's
sorry,
still at
wait.
2.25.
Wait, sorry, I have to cut you off here. I am looking at CoinGecko, and USDC just went to 0.982. Kind of weird.
Uh, oh yeah, I see that. Well,
Yeah,
which I mean, let's see which exchange that is driving that, right?
yeah, that's very interesting.
CL trading pairs. I mean, CoinGecko is interesting. They have a really tough job to do, right? Because they basically have to like combine all the prices on all the different exchanges in some kind of like volume averaged way.
Yeah, it looks like there's probably some kind of error because BUSD also went to 97 cents on
Interesting.
CoinGecko.
Uh,
Yeah.
so that means that people are trying to sell stables. Is that bullish?
Uh, either they're you think like either they're trying to sell stables or they're trying to like would that also could
Yeah.
that also be like redemptions?
Would they be buying it? Well, if you redeem it, it's 1-to-1. But if you're swapping it for something, you're going to swap it for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
But then you would think that like the pricing that the should triangulate, right? I
Hmm.
don't know. Yeah, I think it's just a data error.
I think it's just an error. All right. Well, I
Anyway,
didn't mean to
back
derail that. I'll just cut
to
this out if we need to. Yeah, back to the regularly scheduled
so
program.
back to Optimism. Optimism was the first airdrop to really just get sold into eternity, right? Like it didn't pump
Yeah,
at all after.
ENS,
Yeah, ENS
going
pumped
like
like
back.
I think it went up like almost 100% like the week or so after the airdrop, and then went to zero.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. But like there was
Oh, you're
zero
seeing like
pump for
optimism, zero pump. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it went live, it went liquid at 4, and it went down to like 1 or like 90 cents immediately. Now it's back up at like 2.25. And we were all sort of trained for that pattern of like as soon as the airdrop happens you have to sell because it's never going to go to that price again. And it'll probably be down by 3/4 by the time you manage to even sell it, right? And I don't know if you remember, Optimism's RPCs went down because there was so much demand to sell this token.
Mm,
Like that was yeah. That's so funny. It was probably like the highest volume day on the network from transaction volume perspective.
that's funny.
um, anyway, like yeah, Jito goes live, right? And everybody, including me, is like, okay, it's going to zero, send it, right? And it doesn't. It like it dumps a bit and then it pumps the next day and the day after, and it's done quite well. I think it's above where it went live. And Jito, for those who don't know, is like the Lido of Solana. Um, is
Hmm.
that is that about right?
I think that's about right. Yeah, there's a couple liquid staking uh, solutions on Solana, but yeah,
Yeah,
Jito's kind of like
Marinade.
the one right now. Marinade and Jito are two biggest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the other
So
I would say big. Yeah, big thing. Oh my goodness. ORDI is at 45.
Oh yeah,
Okay, that is
did you catch
crazy.
this? That was crazy. I mean,
Wait, where did
yeah, there was
ORDI
like
go to in the high? Like it went to 100 or
uh
what?
70, 68 for like a second.
That is
For like a
insane.
second. But it had sustained volume at like in the 60 low 60s for a couple of days or for a day or so. Yeah, I mean,
That is
that had me
nuts.
worried because I was like, this has to be a top signal.
Yeah. Um,
That
I
was a while
do
ago.
not understand this at all. I really don't understand BRC20s at all. I'll be honest.
I think they're super low liquidity is the thing, right?
Yeah, but
They're
even I'm
still very
looking
small
right
market cap.
now.
I mean, how big is it? Well, Ordi's pretty big, right?
Yeah, ORDI is like a billion market cap, and it's like doing 400 and it's doing 421 million in volume 20 last 24 hours.
Which I mean, which exchanges? It's Binance and OKX. Basically,
Binance.
that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, did you see the Bitcoin mempool is like a gigabyte now?
The what? Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, there's people like begging them to stop, right? There
Yeah,
was this
yeah,
like what was
they're
this whole
yeah.
controversy with like Eric Wall? There's people like begging him to stop like putting stuff on the Bitcoin blockchain or what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's all sorts of Bitcoiners that are like basically like stop, you know, the meme where it's like stop doing math. It's like stop doing
Yeah.
ordinals. Humans were not meant to put data on the Bitcoin blockchain. It's pretty insane. I heard a stat. It was something like a third of miner revenue comes from ordinals now. It's not block
Really? I
rewards at
actually thought it
all.
was way higher. I actually thought it was way
It might be
higher.
higher. Yeah, I mean, it's
Um,
pretty incredible because ahead of the halvening, you would think that like, you know, all the miners are going to get killed, but actually they're doing great. Um,
Whew.
so
Yeah, yeah. Whew. Wow, this is wild.
it's interesting. I know a lot of people that like bought like the Pico top of a lot of the stuff, bought a swapped a punk for like a Bitcoin frog or whatever. I think I don't know. With ordinals, I don't understand them, right? Like I feel like I'm in a country where I don't speak the language, or I'm like playing a sport that I've never played before. I'm like on ice skates and I've never seen ice before. I just don't understand at
Yeah,
all. So I'm not touching it. But it is pretty incredible. Even like what's it called, Alex, the like BRC
the
Alex
decks.
Lab, the Dex
Yeah.
is at like almost 100 mil market cap.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like built on stacks too. The one project I do like on yeah, the one project I do like in the ordinal space is Bitmap.
Oh
Big
yeah.
fan of that, and I actually think that is like a cool thing where it's like if you have a scarce like digital scarcity, that's the whole concept of Bitcoin, like one of the core concepts of Bitcoin. And if you take that and you basically turn that into like metaverse land as like the core kind of unit, and then you can actually do other stuff on other blockchains or kind of like tie that into other kind of universes or whatever. That's pretty cool. That it looks like has not like really pumped, but it's doing pretty well. It's like $80 per bitmap now.
Hmm.
They're like same thing, like a free mint. Um,
Yeah.
I
I
think
talked
that's
to
pretty
someone the other day
cool.
that was like, I bought a bitmap today. And I was like, oh cool. He's like, I don't even know what it is. I bought one.
Mhm. I
um,
think it'll be interesting if they can do some kind of actual like interesting partnership where like like some kind of game or some kind of like other kind of third party is basically using that as the core layer of like the digital like scarcity element. I think that'd be
yeah.
cool, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean that would be a better
um,
approach than like Sandbox where or Decentraland or whatever where you get a
yeah,
plot but it's only usable in their game. Like that's a nice
yeah,
thing about bitmaps is they're just like this open protocol, right? For like
yeah,
building whatever on top of it. Then you have people that own a lot of them that have the incentive to build on top of it. Like you can have competing metaverses as opposed to like it's like Lens, right? Like the data
yeah.
itself is like this graph that like everyone has access to, and then you can build on top of it. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that was ordinals was super interesting.
Yeah,
Let's
but
see.
I'm looking at Magic Eden and like the other like ordinals, kind of like the prices and all this other stuff, and it looks like outside of Ordi, nothing has really moved that much.
I mean, look, fungible tokens are just so much easier to speculate on because you can have perps.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on Binance, you're playing a different game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just so much more liquidity available. I mean,
Yeah.
part of what I've learned over the last week is just how many people I know don't do stuff on chain. They're like taking exposure through centralized exchanges, and they're like, I
Mm,
flipped my like Celestia position for like a Solana position, and I'm like, how did you do that? You would have to bridge off of Cosmos, and like you have to go to Osmosis, you have to bridge off of Cosmos. Bridging off of Cosmos is a pain in the ass. Did you bridge Atom and then sell that on Coinbase for so uh, like it was? And then I was like, hang on a second, everyone out there except for me is just doing this stuff on a centralized exchange. Like
yeah.
I'm actually doing everything in
Uh,
the Phantom wallet.
yeah, yeah. It's actually so nice just to be able to do transactions in any on literally any chain, including Solana, in one wallet, right? Like it's amazing.
Yeah, oh, Phantom's amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Okay, let's go. I'm going through like what else is like really just interesting, eye catching. Injective, that ecosystem is has gone ham.
yeah, it's
Injective
pretty
was like maybe
interesting.
yeah, I think Injective was like 16, $17 when I left, and it is 23.36 right now. And
Yeah,
it's I would say it's going to go to like 30, $40. Um,
interesting.
that is my local top guess.
So Injective is like like a perps app chain that
Yeah.
pivoted a little bit into allowing other perps protocols to deploy there. So, for example, like Lavana is one that I think like is pretty cool. It's basically the same thing, but I just talking to people, they're really cool. Um, uh, it's just like an interesting thing where you have like a chain that's just for perp stexes. And they've
Hmm.
given up on being like the only like app there, and now they're like, okay, we'll also just be the chain too. And it's
Hmm.
like, well, why wouldn't liquidity just concentrate into like the one active perp stack or the one most active perp stacks? I don't know,
Hmm.
but market makers love that, right? Because you have a ton of venues in the same place, and you can
Hmm.
make markets across them when there's like price inefficiencies. So I don't know. The injective thing is interesting. I haven't been following why it's pumping, except that people want to pump stuff, and it's just like a a reasonable thing to pump within the Cosmos ecosystem.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's just been pumping all year, honestly. I've been watching it since it was $7 in January, or wherever
Wow.
it was in January. And just been like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh my goodness. In January, dude, in January is $1. Um, yeah, that's wild.
23x.
And
Wow.
I
Um,
and I just didn't get it the whole time, and I still don't get it. But
yeah.
I will continue to monitor this and probably top buy. Um,
Dude, I'm so out. I'm never bridging to Cosmos again. um,
I think it's airdrop season again. There, I think it's
Oh yeah,
probably
that's
just
right.
like stake and forget.
Kujira was pumping
Yeah.
before you went into meditation. I wonder if it's
Well,
continued.
Kujira pumped a ton like a month ago, and then
Yeah,
it retraced quite a bit, and then it looks like it pumped again in the last couple days.
yeah. And there's like an airdrop there for what was it?
There's tons of airdrops like happening on the network. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's gonna do pretty well.
I mean, it's interesting. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about airdrop season.
Hmm.
So we had the Pith airdrop on Solana, and then we had the Jito airdrop on Solana. And the day after the Jito airdrop, I swear, like every group chat I was in became a Solana airdrop farming group chat. And you know, I would get like I would get a text like, "Yo, does anyone know like have a list of like other protocols to farm on Solana?" And I'd be like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
let me literally just go to Twitter and pick any tweet because all of them are
yeah,
people writing threads about what to farm on Solana." Um,
yeah.
and then I think it's interesting to me that I don't think it's really carried across chains super well. So people are starting to discuss trying to farm like stuff on like Avalanche or like in the Cosmos ecosystem, but to a large degree, like the most established protocols like Trader Joe, they already have a token, right?
Yeah.
And part of what happened with Solana was that like in the death of a lot of their DeFi ecosystem, new like protocols started to rise from the ashes that didn't have tokens yet. And so I think like MarginFi is a good example, right? Like how did they not have an
Hmm.
airdrop in 2021? They I don't know if they were live then, right?
Yeah.
So I think part of the reason why airdrops have been successful on Solana is that there's this thesis around Solana being this cycle's ETH, right?
Hmm.
And it's one of those like self-fulfilling prophecies where everyone's like, okay, like if you lay the charts over each other of Solana price action and ETH price action, ETH pumped here, you know, this time last cycle, Solana should pump too, and then everybody buys it. Um,
Hmm.
and then you start looking at like, okay, it's Solana DeFi summer, right? Which is like a lot of people have that thesis. So Solana DeFi summer is like, what's the Aave of Solana? I guess it's margin fi. So why shouldn't margin fi be valued at Aave valuation, right?
Hmm.
And in a bull, this is one other thing you have to reprogram yourself for. The numbers are big, right? Like you're looking at Bonk and you're like, oh, it's almost at a billion, and then everyone's like, hey, remember what Doge and Shiba Inu did last bull? 1 billion's nothing.
What
And
were their like top market caps? Like 30 billion or so for Doge?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Was Doge 30? And Shiba Inu was maybe 10.
Let's see. No, I think they were at one point. I think they got close. So Doge all time high, like around 70 or 70 cents or so. Um,
Yeah, I mean the
right
all-time high market
now,
cap for like a day was above 75 billion, above
okay.
80.
Wow.
I mean, in maybe one candle, right?
Oh my lord.
Shiba Inu,
uh,
42.
oh my goodness. Okay
So
then.
that's a 42x from a billion. To put it in perspective, like the numbers can get so mind-bogglingly, astoundingly large so quickly that if we're truly in a bull market, like you can start to dream a lot bigger, right? And I think that's been like a lot of people's mentality is like you see a meme coin on ETH 6 months ago, and it might go to 50 million, and you're like, sick, that's the top I'll sell, right? Like if you're
Hmm.
lucky, right? Like most coins went 50K to 150K back to zero, right? But now like 50 mil is really small, and relative to the mind share, like 50 might be cheap, and so you start to like basically add a zero or two, right, onto like where you think something should be valued relative to its mind share. And that's like another big like bull effect. So I know a lot of people that have been selling really early. They sold Bonk like all the way up because they were like, shit, it hit like 250 mil, I'm out, right? They're like, damn, 500 mil out. When it flipped Pepe, that was awesome at 500 something mil. And everyone else
Yeah.
is like, a lot of people were like, nope, that's it, I'm out, right? The numbers can get really big, and they can easily retrace. But if you have like macro conviction that we're in a bull, you just eat the volatility. You just hold, right? And you don't trade on leverage.
Okay, speaking of Pepe, what do you think about Pepe?
Oh,
Like
that's a good
it's
question.
it's it's going to go. Is it going to do like a Doge or a SHIB? I would say, or is it like is it just one of many meme coins? Like, are there too many meme coins now?
So my whole thesis is that everything in the cycle happens on Solana, and if it's not on Solana, I'm calling it God's chain. If it's not on Solana, if it's not on Allah's chain, then you got to question whether that thing's going to have any kind of major activity. So the idea is that last cycle people bought ether at like $80, and so being able to spend zero point 0.1 eth on a transaction, not a huge deal, right? Even if at the time it was valued expensively. This cycle people didn't get that cheap eth, they got in at the cheapest, like 900, right? And Ethereum is already too expensive for most people to want to play around on it, right? um, and if you look at Solana, where like you just don't have that, you can have a lot more inclusion of people within the space, and that leads to
Mm.
mindshare, leads to attention, leads to tokens going up. So for me, the biggest like impedance to Pepe is actually the fact that it's on the ETH1. I just think that like there aren't that many people that are paying attention to ETH1, and there aren't that many people that want to. Like the opportunity
I
cost
think
is too
the
high.
I think the bold case for Pepe would just be that it's already on all the centralized exchanges. Like the normies will come, they won't be on ETH, they'll just buy it on Binance because they know Pepe, and then
Hmm.
that's it.
That's a good point. So yeah, like so centralized exchange volumes. This is another thing to reprogram yourself for. In the bull, they're really high. They've been down only forever for the last two
Hmm.
years, right? So like my perspective was definitely like colored by I just assume everyone's going to buy on chain, right? And it's totally not true. Like 99% of people are never going to use the chain. They'll just buy potentially on
Yeah.
leverage on a centralized exchange. Um,
Yeah, especially in the bull. Like this is like only bull market programming, so you basically don't care
Yeah,
about
you don't care
gas
about
because it's like
security or
this
fucking yeah,
security or
yeah.
get like any of this stuff, right? So
Interesting.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
a
I
good
kind of
point.
think
I
Pepe
mean, are you
could.
bullish?
Yeah, I think I kind of am. Yeah.
Where is it right now? It's at 588 mil market cap.
Yeah. So
I
that's the
had lunch
thing. Like
with a
if it
friend the
is,
other day, and he was like, "Why don't we do like a little handshake bet? 2 years from now, Pepe versus Bonk." And I was like, "2 years from now is literally like 100 years from now." I have no idea.
yeah, they might
um,
both be at zero.
I don't know. I'm just more comfortable owning Bonk. Um,
I
I can't tell you why. I guess I just know that community better.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that one's tough. I would also probably take Bunk. At least for I don't know, 2 years is a long time. Yeah, too
2 years a
long.
long time. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Let's
maybe for the
go
next
end
like
of year.
end of year
3 weeks.
probably Bonk. Oh,
Yeah,
3 weeks. Well, Bonk is already like way higher market cap.
yeah. But which would you rather own?
Oh, probably still Bonk.
Yeah, I mean, the 12 days of
Oh.
Bonkmas have just started. um, Uh,
uh,
so this is a good question, though. Okay, so if yeah, so like if you look at the meme coin space, right? Solana meme coins have done incredibly well, right? Primarily Bonk, right? But others too. Guac was a meme coin that became a product. um, you have to scoop the dip on Guac. Yeah. The like the meme coin space on Solana has done pretty well. The meme coin space
yeah, I
on
remember
Ethel
Myro.
one, yeah, Myro's great. Grok, right? I mean, they may have all
Yeah,
round tripped, but like at least there is like there are people making money there. Um,
yeah,
if you look at the meme coin space on Ethel1, you look at Pepe, and for a little while there was a period where Pepe would pump one day while Bonk was flat, and then Bonk would pump one day while Pepe was flat. But broadly speaking, Pepe has not done very well relative to Bonk, right? Or that's an understatement, right? Um, But then you look at everything else. You look at ticker Bitcoin, which has done pretty well, but with a ton of volatility. You look at MOG, right? You look at SPX and Joe, and they've all like severely underperformed. Do you think that's just that Solana is hot right now, or do you think this is like a structural issue that's going to like replay in a bigger sense during the real ball?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything on Solana will definitely outperform, but I do think that there will be a season when like all these like ETH shitcoins go ham. I do think so. Just because they've all been listed, they're all like pretty familiar. I think there'll even be a Doge season. Um,
Right at the end,
so yeah,
as
I mean, I
always,
think
as per tradition.
what? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I okay. Let's see what else is out there interesting.
So we've seen a few narratives. So AI coins have done pretty well. I mean, Render had already pumped,
Again?
so it was largely absent. But if you look at Tau, have you been tracking Tau,
Oh yeah.
BitTensor?
Oh dude, I've been in BitTensor for a minute.
Good.
Um, yeah, yeah. um, I don't like have a
Man, I
ton,
faded it
but
at 100. Now it's at
um,
315.
yeah. Let's see.
So BitTensor has done super well, and a lot of. Did you? Were you here for the AI thing, the Sam Altman thing? That was before you went into meditate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there for that.
Uh, so the narrative a lot of people are driving is that like people even within OpenAI are now starting to talk about decentralizing, right? And like
Yeah.
what is centralization risk within the AI like space, and
Hmm.
that's enough for Tau to pump. And even on like Solana, there's this relative small mid cap token called Nosana. Um, I think we were texting about it at one point. And
Yeah.
it's done pretty well. It's at like 63 mil now, up from like 24 just a few weeks ago. At one point, I had like 15. I held it. I bought this token at like 24. It went to like 30, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go!" And then it went back down to 24, and I was like, "Oh god!" And then it went to 20. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm so dumb." Then it went to 15, and I was like, "You know what? These things are volatile. I'm just gonna hold it." And it went up to I mean I think I eventually sold it like 35 to rotate in a Pepe, but or sorry in a bonk, but
Nice.
yeah, like now it's at like 62. It hit a high of like 80 or something. So AI tokens have done pretty well. DPIN has had a bit of a comeback. Did you catch
Oh
that
yeah.
fucking like HNT pumped again?
Oh, HNT pump. Interesting. I've been
Yeah.
holding Ator for a while.
Ah,
That did not pump. Um,
dude, the privacy, there is nothing that kills a coin like privacy. This is one of my hot takes for like what I've learned the last 3 years. Um, Nothing kills a coin's performance like privacy. Zcash,
that is
Monero,
actually a good point.
Ator, Secret Network. Like they're very expensive hobbies. Is the best thing I've ever heard about Zcash. It's a very expensive hobby.
That is a
um,
great point. Um, okay, so let's now go
So
into like the rest of the
DPIN,
year.
Helium. Did you see they started their mobile service? You can pay like 20, $30 a month for it. It's basically
Oh
T-Mobile.
yeah. I just saw
And
that
so
today.
Helium's been pumping. And I think there's like one or two other play. Hive Mapper went ham. I held that one up nicely. Even though
Nice.
I told everyone to get in like a little too late, and some of them didn't have the diamond hands to hold it to break even or whatever. Like I don't know, like you're starting to see then like a games rotation. So you have Crown has been doing well on Solana. You have
Oh yeah.
Blaze on Solana. You have what's the other one? It's pretty big. Oh, it's a rebrand of Merit Circle. What's it called? Beam. Do you remember Merit Circle?
Yeah, I do.
So
Um,
Beam is the rebrand. It's been doing well. IMX has been doing well. Like people are now shilling Avalanche on the gaming thesis. I
Mm-hmm.
think you're starting to see like the like cycle in effect, right? Where it's like it starts out with like the layer one, the first dog coin, the AI, the DPIN, the gaming, the second dog coin, maybe a dump, right? Um,
Yeah, so
uh,
let's talk about the next few weeks. So are we like at a local top? Are we close to a local top? Like how are you playing the next few weeks?
so my thesis, for better or worse, has been that we're up only until the ETF, right? That like everyone just wants to
Yeah.
pre-position for the ETF, and there are even people today that are like you basically have to look at who are the market participants and are they fully allocated or not, right? And a month ago, it was clear that like a lot of us were not fully allocated, and a lot of people sold a lot of crypto in 2022 and just held cash, right? And a lot of those same people are like, okay, now it's safe to deploy it. I'm going to buy it. And that's like the fresh liquidity coming into the system. And a lot of it is ETF pre-positioning, right? Now you have to look at it like, well, how many people that were going to buy marginal crypto have not allocated yet, right? And I think most people have pretty safely started to feel like we're in a bull, and they've started to allocate back to their hot wallet, and they're probably pretty heavily allocated. Like, how could you have gone through the last 3 to 4 weeks without being like, fuck it, I'm just putting all my money in, right? Um, so I guess that would point bearish in the near term. Like everybody's already allocated. There's a lot of leverage in the system. We saw leverage wash out yesterday. Bitcoin down from 44 to like 40 today. Uh, Funding rates reset within a couple hours, which is pretty cool. But people are still, clearly like fully allocated. Um, there's also top signals everywhere. Chihuahua chain, right, hitting 40 mil. That's like a Cosmos dog chain. Um, so I think gaming as a thesis probably pretty toppy, right?
Jewel,
So
jewel pumping.
Joel, yeah, Joel, dude, the hate rally is my favorite part. My absolute favorite thing that happened this quarter is Luna, obviously. Luna Classic
Oh
pumped like
yeah.
crazy. um, Jewel pumping,
Unreal.
like
Yeah,
I don't know if you
jewel
saw
going
my tweet.
10x is yeah, no, wait, which one?
Oh, about look, a lot of people are talking about an Avalanche rotation. The most hated rally on all of Avalanche would obviously be Snowdog.
Oh
Buckle up.
no.
Dude, and Luigi was like Luigi commented on my tweet. He was like, "The North remembers."
Yeah.
I
Um
don't know, but
okay.
I kind of feel like, yeah, bullish up only till the ETF, and then a very like sharply precipitated drop thereafter,
Yeah.
and try to be out before the ETF news in early January. What do you think?
And you think like yeah, I mean, I think like everybody's basically like consensus at this point. Early January, it's happening. Uh, I don't know. Like, if it becomes too consensus, is that like a bad thing, or like is that gonna invalidate this, or
Uh, well, I mean, okay, so like the Havenings, I guess, are the closest, like most like telegrammed like thing to the market where it's like very clearly known when it's going to happen. And I think like historically it takes some time for the Havenings to like really play out, right? If you look at the merge, I think it was pretty consensus that it would be successful, and ETH still pumped like from like 14 to 1600 the week of, and then dumped shortly thereafter to like 12, 13.
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
I just think like I don't know. Okay, so of the people that I've spoken to, a lot of them are still surprised when I tell them that I think we're going to dump after the ETF news, even if it's positive,
Hmm.
which makes me think that it's not
Yeah.
as consensus as we think.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Nice. Nice. Okay.
What do you think? How are you feeling? Do you feel like we've hit Pico top?
No, I don't think so. I think these things always get a little too dumb towards the end. Like people start chasing a little too much, and you can kind of tell. I mean, there's already a lot of signs. It's the old Suzu thing, you know. He's like, I have seven signals of a top, and we've now hit four. We've now hit five. I don't have that formula, but I think we're like 70% of the way to like a local top. I think like once we see like Avalanche go pat like close to like 70, which I think will happen, um, I think that's the local top.
Wow. Real quick before we go, did you catch that Pudgy's went to 10 ETH?
Oh yeah, that is insane. Wait, what happened? They announced some game that like looks
Uh,
pretty bad, honestly, but
yeah, I mean, I think, well, I think people want to, people like what they did in the Bear. They like the Walmart thing, they like the toys, they like the game, they
mhm,
like the change in structure to like, if you own a Pudgy, you'll get some like payout from the IP. Pudgy
mhm.
gifts have been seen like in a total of some millions of times,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
because you
yeah.
can track that through like Giphy. I had a friend,
Mm,
Max, sent me a Pudgy gift the other day. I don't know if you even realized.
mm.
um,
Wow, that's funny.
so yeah, I mean, the little Pudgy's almost hit one. It was a little frothy for sure, but I think the consensus is that they're going to be the cycles apes, and a lot of people
Mm.
just wanted to get in and started FOMOing.
Nice. All right. Wait. Okay. Wait. Real quick, while we're here, what do we think about NFTs broadly? Like, are we trying to play the rotation game here? Are we like ever touching these again? Like, what's the scene?
Good question. Um, okay, first things first. Solana
Because
NFTs,
this,
Tensorians.
well, yeah. Real quick. So here's the thing. Like, you mentioned ETH, like L1, like nobody's touching this again, like gas. There is no way to touch NFTs outside of on the main chain, right? So it's like you basically have to have that as like a barrier. So
Yeah, but
like,
L2s are
yeah,
fucked
what
to
happens
begin with.
there? Yeah,
The cycle, they're like a modular blockchain. It obviously fragments liquidity, but it also fragments attention. Like I can't track everything on every chain, right? And even if there's interoperability and technically the chains should feel like one chain, like I'm still either like on Optimism, on Arbitrum, paying attention to those things in those communities, in those discords, telegrams, whatever, uh, or I'm not, right? Whereas like Solana is like
yeah,
a monolithic community, and that's actually like way stronger. So
yeah,
even if NFTs could be done on
yeah.
L2s, like the community just can't be formed there.
Yeah. No L2s, but I mean, I don't know. Like, who's buying these things? Like,
Okay, so NFTs can pump harder faster, which is appealing, right? Without having to use leverage, right? So that's something that people like, right? I don't know how I feel about Solana NFTs. What I think is going to happen is I'm going to fade them the whole way up. I'm going to be like, look, I just don't think that they have the same cachet. I can get behind everything else on Solana, meme coins, whatever, but just not NFTs. And then Solana NFTs will go absolutely crazy. I'll buy the Pico top and then down only from there. And then I think ETH NFTs will do the same thing. I think they'll get bigger than ever, and I will buy the Pico top, and they'll go down only from there. What do you think? Do you think
yeah.
PFPs will come back?
Not like broadly. I think some of them will. I think some of them will just like pump like pudgies, you know. I just think like they'll just kind of sustain. I don't think we see like 2021 style like more NFT volume than many token volumes. I don't think that really plays out. I'm pretty bullish honestly on Soul NFTs, just because like those are like the power users, right? Like it's like people that care like natively about the chain, about like honestly like being on chain, about like the culture, and so like that I actually do see those pumping, and they're probably all going to have associated airdrops. So like Mad Lads will probably do an airdrop, Tensorians will probably do an airdrop. I actually think like those two specifically are probably like a super 3-3 play right now,
Hmm.
because if Soul drops, or like there's just going to be tons of wealth effects on Soul with like airdrops and like prices pumping and stuff like that. people are going to funnel that into like, the next thing, which is generally like they cycle into NFTs, but like especially these two, which are probably like almost for sure going to have airdrops with them, and they actually are building products, not just like a community. So like, yeah, Tensorians has the, Tensor obviously, and then Mad Lads has a ton of stuff, the exchange, the wallet, like all this other stuff. So um, those I think for sure pump. Those two I'm super super bullish, and like as it gets closer to the airdrop, like less people are going to sell. There you get points the whole way, so like more people are buying just to get the airdrop, which pushes the price up. Which then you get a bigger airdrop and like all this kind of stuff. So like very 3-3 in that sense. And I think also even if Sol goes down in price, the NFTs probably sustain or go up in price. That generally happens anyways, but so I
Yeah,
think it's a pretty
that,
good play.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't just go buying like mid cap Soul NFTs, right?
No, I would probably buy like only those two, honestly. There's probably other stuff that'll come up, and that's like I think like Claynosaurs are a pretty good one. There's like Quecks. Uh,
Quacks, yeah, dude, Quacks went
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, um, yeah. One of our friends was shilling them when they were 14, and I was like, kind of cool. Maybe I'll buy one. And then like I look up and they're at like 60. I was like, oh, all right, missed that. But Tensorians, I am shilling my bag here, but I'm giga bullish.
Yeah, that tracks. I'm gonna fade it and buy the Pico top. See you there. But you don't think
All
like we
right,
get a
cool.
2021? I think we get a way bigger than 2021 NFT bubble this cycle.
Wow. Interesting. In PFPs?
In PFPs, yeah, in particular.
Wow.
The number one thing that I fade is people that say NFTs. It's not just PFPs. It's a technology. It can represent a house or a whatever, or a game in game asset. I fade
Dude,
that completely.
FIFA just launched an NFT for like World Cup tickets on Polygon today.
Yeah, I mean that was obviously sick, right?
Yeah.
But like speculation wise, it's just going to be PFPs. PFPs.
Yeah.
We already
I
found
agree.
like the best possible approach. Like there's a reason PFPs worked. Every single one is a little bit different. You can spend a little more and get one with a hat, right?
Hmm.
Like we didn't have Blur last cycle. Think about that. Like that
Mm.
alone is pretty meaningful. I think we're going to see PFPs come back bigger than like ever. I think we're going to see them at least 3 to 10x the size of the PFP market last cycle.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
and all
hot
the other
take.
non-PFP use cases will be rounding errors on NFTs.
Interesting. I kind of think they're done. I kind of think it's like gonna be a niche part of crypto from now on, personally.
Wow.
Cause like, cause, uh, cause like NFTs are most appealing to normies, and literally no normie will ever touch NFTs again. Like after what happened in 2021, there's no chance.
I don't think that many normies got in though, relative to the aggregate normie population. Like, think about the size of the sports gambling market, right? Like, that's kind of your target audience.
I don't even think it's about getting in. I think it's just the name, the reputation, the stories. Uh, I think just like it's just a dirty, tainted word now. And like the whole like I think apes like the people just hate the whole concept. Like they just viscerally like it's like a visceral reaction when you talk to people. I was like with one of these like artist dudes in LA, and basically like him and his friends are just like those three dudes in the like YouTube thumbnail, and they're just getting together all shitting on NFTs. It's it's pretty funny.
It's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
apes created and destroyed a lot for the NFT world.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's their fault. I think it's like a lot of just the hype around it. Um, and just like so many people that got in late just losing tons of money. And yeah, like yeah, I think I don't know. I think they're like now just gonna be a niche part of crypto.
Hmm.
Yeah,
What do you say?
probably very wrong. And also, I have an NFT as my PFP right now, so yeah,
I mean,
there's
if you
that.
don't
But
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
cool. Anything else?
Now, what's your top target for? Let's do top target by like whenever you think it is by SEC or by the ETF approval.
On Bitcoin, like
Yeah, Bitcoin. Let's
48K.
do Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, AVAX.
Bitcoin 48, ETH 20, 2350.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Sol 88, and AVAX like 42.
Wow. All right. Nice. I'm a little more bullish. I'm going to go. Yeah, I think like Bitcoin 52, ETH 24 or 25. Solana, yeah, about like 92. Uh, AVAX 70.
Wow. I mean, you're giga bullish AVAX. Is this just people fast following, like rotating from Solana to AVAX, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's just straight muscle memory.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think like whoa, all this stuff happened on Solana. Soluna AVAX can't do Luna. Now let's do injective 40, uh,
Solon JVAX.
35 to 45. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting. I mean,
Also, well, like also look at this. Like Sol last 24 hours, like 3.8 million, 3.8 billion in volume. AVAX 3.2 billion in volume, and the Avalanche market cap is like 40% of the Solana market cap. Like generally, there's just like a lot of, I think it's just muscle memory. People are used to them like being lumped together, kind of, trading similarly. I think like when you see volumes kind of like creep up like this, you see market caps also start to get to like parity.
hmm,
So yeah, I think it'll outperform than the rest of the year. There's also just stupid memes, it's AVAX winter, the snow chain, all this stuff. There's just gonna be stupid meme coins, Christmas meme coins. Um, yeah,
I don't know. I do feel like the AVAX community has shrunk a lot more than the Solana community over the bear market. A bit like Algorand, right? Where like the people that were into it were like a little bit more like TradFi, a little bit more into the Professor Coin ethos, right? And I think they're actually going to be slower to come back than like if you tell people that Solana doesn't have like a mempool in the traditional sense, like most of the people on Solana know what that means. If you tell people that
yeah.
Avalanche has sub-second finality, most of them actually don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Like it's a relatively non-technical
Honestly,
community, relatively not crypto native, probably bullish in the long run, but I feel like they're not back yet.
honestly, I would generally agree with all of those points until I saw the volumes.
Huh. I
I'm
mean,
like
it is
purely looking
pumping
at
today.
it
It's
as a
up
volume thing.
69% today or this week, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's up
up
69%
1%.
this
Bitcoin's down
week.
6.
Yeah. Um, yeah, also like it just, yeah, this is like purely a volume play.
I'm trading
Like,
order flow.
yeah. Yeah, I mean attention is like 90% of what matters. So
Yeah.
like the top volume right now is Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, AVAX, Doge, Ripple, BNB, Cardano,
Ripple.
Chainlink. Basically everything is just normal except AVAX jumped a ton.
Are you bullish cock Inu? Have you seen this?
Oh God, no.
COQ. It's well, I think I see it pretty commonly cited as the Sol or the AVAX meme coin. It's at 28 mil. It's probably undervalued.
Hmm. All right, let's buy cock.
The most
All
bullish
right,
thing
this
about
is
this,
good.
the address for the token address for cock Inu Starts with 0x420.
Amazing.
Oh man,
All right, this is
what a
good. I
10
think we're
days.
caught up now. Yeah,
Yeah, let's
what a
go.
great 10 days. All right, perfect. Well, this has been the Decent Crypto Podcast. We're back, and we will be back later this week. We'll do our next deep dive. Till then, stay decent.